to see you. So John, lead us.
So we have Dr. Mike Van Thielen here with us today, and I've known Mike for about 10 years. His understanding of medical freedom is second to no one in this country. He's written 7 books. Not only is he walks the talk. You know, he doesn't just talk; he actually lives it. World record holder, current world record holder. So many degrees that we don't have enough time on the show to go through all of them, but he's at the leading cutting edge. All, you know, stem cell, he can get into it a little bit more, but really proud of this guy. He has a new book coming out too, cutting edge. Near, you know, Dr. Mercola is fairly well known with his book. He's got special gifts that he's bringing to the world. And so today, you know, I brought Dr. Mike Van Thielen on.
Well, I'm glad to be here, guys.
Good to have you, Mike. So tell us about what your book is all about.
I kind of got inspired because I was hearing the end of last year more and more about the troubles of 5G, right? Mm-hmm. And even though I'm aware of it, I really didn't know a lot about it. So I started looking into it more and more. And also, of course, with John's, anti-aging bed I've been sleeping on for over 2 years now. And I said, look, I need a little bit more about it. And when I start looking into it, into the science of it, it actually was worse than I ever could have imagined on how these, especially the non-ionizing radiation, also affects our, us on a cellular level, our body, detrimental to our health, so much that not only I postponed writing the book that I really wanted to write about proteins, and I said, no, I need to share this with the world, and so I need to write this book now. And so the book talks about health freedom and toxemia, and then really goes into how EMF and EMR, electromagnetic radiation, scientifically affects our biology and physiology, what the sources of the EMR are in the house, outside of the house, and what we can do about it. And there's kind of 4 distinct steps on what we can do about it. First, we need to mitigate the inside sources inside of our home, the dirty electricity, the appliances, the magnetic fields, all that kind of stuff, what we can do about it to mitigate it. Then how do we block our house from outside sources like the neighbors, the power lines, the smart meters, and all that kind of stuff. And then the third part, that's where John's expertise especially is how do we shield ourselves, with the fabric, the anti-aging beds, and things like that. And then the fourth part, which I expanded a lot on in the book, is how do we repair the DNA damage that was done. And that's where I made some really good discoveries on antioxidants and our own innate repair system, which most people don't know about, and how we can keep that up. And so when we put those 4 components in place, I think we really can do a good job in mitigating those damaging effects. And so the book is more a practical guide on how to identify those sources and how to practically and easily do it yourself, and and mitigate those effects of the radiation we're exposed to.
Exactly. And I was asking a neighbor this morning because one of my neighbors said to me, Charlie, I had COVID-19. And I said, well, exactly what is it? She said, I don't know, but the doctor said I had it. I said, well, we've established that it's not a virus. Yeah. So it's a bioweapon, but how did it get into you? Did it come through 5G? Yeah. Did it come through the food chain? Did it come through these chemtrails? How? And this is something that I'm sure when we put all the pieces of the puzzle together, we'll try and establish the truth. And that's all I've been trying to do, establish the truth. And, the one thing I love is that every single person has an equal value. We underestimate every single person. And I'll give you an example. The Indians and the Pakistanis, who I love to death, they're brilliant people. But if you take them a phone and you go to them and say, open it for me, they will open it. Whether it be a Samsung or an Apple, they will open it and they will repair it. And we asked them a specific question last year. 5G chips. Mm-hmm. Are they in the phones? And they went, no. Not a single phone has a 5G chip in it, because every time they put it in, it exploded. And then I spoke to a number of people investigating 5G. And I said, we need to get our terminology right, because 4G is equally as bad. It's EMFs.
Yes.
And this is what we need to focus on, whether it's 1G or 4G or 5G or 100G. It's EMFs that we need to protect ourselves, rather than saying phone. It's only 5G is dangerous. Yes, 5G from the poles is dangerous. But when it comes to these phones, even though it says in the top corner 5G, I question Apple. I went straight to Apple and I said, how come my phone shows a symbol of 5G?
It's not there, no.
But 5G isn't there. And he said, well, that's the 5th generation phone. And I got you cheeky so-and-sos.
Yeah, marketing scam.
It's marketing. They charge 200 euros more for the 5G phone. And it's just like, really?
Yeah. Over here, there is no 5G yet. They're implementing it. They're putting all the little poles down every 300 feet or whatever it is. But what most people don't know is 5G does not replace 4G. 4G will be the constant signaling between the towers and our devices. And the 5G will come when we actually make the call or are online. And so it's a crazy exponential increase in exposure for sure.
Yeah. And also basically near the end of November, the EPA.gov, and you can research this yourself, EPA.gov, you can go into your local city and see that they already increased the radiation to a 5G level near the end of when the Omicron and the other ones came out. Mm-hmm. I've seen so many people and spoke to so many people that had this virus, considered virus, that I really think they're the combination between the two. And Dr. Greg has been on this show. You know, he's found evidence even in their own peer study reviews that these EMFs are changing the red blood cells. Mm-hmm. So there's a big danger there, and you know, if you look that up, that's verifiable information that you can check on your own.
No, I totally agree with you. And if you look at people who are healthy in their life, you tend to find that they live off grid, and they're not connected to the internet. Yeah. They're very hard to get hold of on the phone. And they are literally off grid. And it's amazing. I think a lot of people will start to see the benefits. At my house, we're starting to see the benefits of growing our own fruit and vegetables.
Gotta go back to basics and mitigate all these harmful effects for sure.
Sure. And what you're doing is absolutely bang on right, because the other thing, of course, that we overlook is if you believe in God, God made us. So God made us, he's given us enough tools in our toolbox to repair ourselves when we learn how to use them. Yeah, we haven't learned how to use them. And one of the most obvious things to me with John, with his bed cover, with the silver, obviously, because it's a perfect conductor, but connecting it to earth. Now we all know in our psyche that when you're connected to earth, whether it's walking in the forest, whether it's walking on the beach, whether it's walking through the fields, you feel at peace when you're connected to Mother Earth.
Yeah, you're grounding.
You're grounding. And we talk about being grounded. So we talk about it without knowing what we very often say. We say so many things that we don't even like. One of the biggest things we say regularly is scared to death. And we don't even know what that means. And people are living now who are going to die from fear.
Yeah, correct.
Whereas if you can be grounded as a person, that's a starting point, isn't it, John? Just being connected to Mother Earth, connected to ground, so that you can start rebalancing yourself.
Yeah. And you made a few great points, Charlie, because you mentioned, knowing what to do with your body or how to put it in the right conditions, because we know that drugs don't cure. Drugs are dead matter. That matter cannot act. It only can be acted upon. We know therapies don't cure. Even tools and wholesome food, nothing cures. Only the body can heal itself. So we need to put the body in the right conditions, and people don't know what those right conditions are. And one of them is obviously being connected with Mother Earth, knowing what to eat, what not to eat. And that's what really differentiates us humans from animals in the wild. See, animals in the wild, they have an instinct and they act according to the laws of Mother Nature. That's why they're in perfect health. We have an awareness, and we have the freedom to choose our response. And that's probably our greatest power. And according to the Spider-Man movie, you know, with great power comes great responsibility, right? So we have become slaves of making the wrong decisions over and over again, which has put us in this ill health situation. But luckily we have that same power, so we can turn this completely around and regain control of our health. And so people like us, we need to, you know, steer people in the right direction and coach them and guide them in the right direction and tell them how to put their body in the right conditions. And when it comes to this EMF, you know, we've been told, just like in the 1920s with the tobacco industry, oh, it can harm us, because we've been told that only the ionizing radiation, like the X-rays and the gamma cameras, can harm us, but we're almost never exposed to them unless we do an X-ray, right? But we've been told that this non-ionizing radiation is not strong enough to cause cellular damage, and that's been proven wrong over and over again. We now have 30,000 studies, and for those who are listening, you could look up a summary at emf-portal.org/en, because you want to read it in English. So that's emf-portal.org/en. There's a summary. But here's the key when it comes to that non-ionizing radiation. It's on the lower end of the EMF spectrum, meaning longer wavelength. So yes, they not directly can split an atom and cause damage, but it does it indirectly. And to make a long scientific story short, when we are exposed to this non-ionizing radiation, our cell phones, our Wi-Fi, dirty electricity, our appliances, our Bluetooth, all that kind of stuff, radio, TV, it's on the lower end, the non-ionizing. What happens is our calcium channels that carefully balance the intracellular calcium versus the extracellular calcium, they open up due to non-ionizing radiation, our exposure to our phones, etc. And what happens is we get an influx of calcium in the cell, too much calcium in the cell, which causes or promotes superoxide. Superoxide then combines with nitric oxide, which we all heard about, to form peroxynitrate. And peroxynitrate produces carbonyl free radicals, which are very strong free radicals that are now inside our cells, damaging our mitochondria, our cellular structure, and our DNA. The problem is it's much worse than ionizing radiation, because we're exposed to it 24/7. And that's how we can get some severe DNA damage, you know, lower our immune system, which makes us, again, more vulnerable to viruses. Yeah.
And I'd like to add to that, you know, we talked about grounding. So grounding was an understanding of just standing on the ground. As an inventor, we brought the connection back to the people. You can get this technology in your bed, and this technology essentially plugs in, and it plugs into the telluric current of the earth, which if you can go deep enough, you can get it. Sometimes on the ground, there could be very dry, so you don't really get the whole benefit. And usually a lot of us haven't even experienced the full benefit of what we call grounding. We took our technology to a super high level. It's more of like a circuit board grid and a technology that enhances the cellular level. But grounding means a lot of things to a lot of people. So it's not just grounding, it's EMF shielding. Because if you have the technology that we have that's proven with a mirror, we can prove that it shields the body from EMF. So grounding means a lot of things, but when you're connected to the telluric current of the earth, there's big static charges going underneath the earth back and forth that you can't see. And when you're plugged in, you're actually connected. And when you're connected, it literally brings humanity back together. I know it happened to me when I was oftentimes just connected long periods of time to bed rest, because in the bed rest situation, when I healed myself, the exercise, nutrition, and sleep, the most forgotten one that I was barely sleeping because I was in so much pain. But once I got the rest and I was connected, it comes all the way full circle, like where it helps people get connected together, as far as getting over the duality of things, bringing back the unity, the connection that we all have with one another. And not only that, EMF shielding is one of those things where it's very much overlooked. The technological age has pushed really quickly into our lives. And if you are in the situation where you have pain, anxiety, stress, PTSD, you name the issue, this is a simple, affordable, effective solution to all the modern stresses, and you have to do nothing. There's no crazy pills, no crazy fancy diets or exercise programs to do this. You simply connect your semiconductor electrical body to this ground, and simply you sleep your way to better health. So that's the benefit of this technology. And along with a lot of the technology that we do have, this is just one of 50 different technologies over the last 20 years that I've been working on.
Yeah, no, John, that's correct. And to add to that, obviously, it's the silver nanotechnology that causes the shielding. And people may think like, well, I don't believe that. But the cool thing is you get a meter with it. And so if you're not in contact with it, you can measure the electromagnetic radiation. Mm-hmm. And when you put your hand on it or you're in contact with, the fabric that John just displayed, it shows 0 or at least significantly reduced. So, this is not a hoax. This is science. And if you stay in contact or sleep on it, like I have done for over the past 2 years, that's 25-30% of your day that you are grounding while you're sleeping. So obviously it makes a drastic improvement in your health. At the same time, it's not just the shielding. John showed the plug, so you're grounding, which means you're feeding negative ions into your body. And what do? They neutralize free radicals, just like antioxidants, right? Mm-hmm. But there's some very interesting thing that I like to share when it comes to antioxidants, because we've been in this, the last few decades, we've been talking about free radicals and how we need to consume antioxidants, fruits, vegetables, and supplements to donate an electron to the free radicals to stabilize those and mitigate the damaging effects to our body. And that's still completely right. But what I want to add to that is what I learned just recently is the following, that if an antioxidant donates an electron to a free radical to stabilize it and make it harmless, the antioxidant is done with its job and it cannot do anything anymore. So what I learned is that our body has an innate DNA repair system called the ARTD1 repair system, not important, but we have that system to repair our own DNA. Now, guess what the fuel for that system is? The fuel for that system is NAD+. You heard about NAD+, right? Now, yes, we can take supplements of NAD+. We can get even IVs of NAD+, and it's all good. But there's certain things we can do lifestyle-wise to also keep our NAD+ levels high. For example, certain types of exercise, also not eating a few hours before you go to sleep. So your last meal or consumption of food should be early evening. That all will really drastically keep your NAD+ levels high. Taking niacin will keep your NAD+ levels high. Tryptophan also increases NAD+ a little bit. And so there's many things that I also mentioned in the book that will keep that fuel for our repair system high. But when it comes to grounding, there's something else. It's called NADPH. And NADPH is really the battery of our body. Some people, or in the past, we thought our mitochondria are the battery. They're not the battery. They're the energy production factories of our ATP, but the battery is NADPH. And with battery, I mean electron reservoir, right? Because we have these antioxidants that neutralize the free radical and then they're done. But what if we have an electron reservoir that keeps donating electrons to those antioxidants so they can continue to neutralize free radicals? Then we are much more powerful. And then we don't need to consume that many antioxidants because we're reusing the antioxidants. So now we need to keep our NAD plus high and also our NADPH. And so there's many things in the book that will show you on how to keep those levels high and have an electron reservoir of NADPH. For example, molecular hydrogen tablets will help keeping your NADPH high. And this is the full circle back to the anti-aging bed and the grounding. If we feed electrons in our body, it will also increase our electron reservoir, right? And that's much more important now from science that we know recently to keep those NAD plus and NADPH levels high to reuse the antioxidants that are in our body versus continuing to overdose on those. So I thought it was, something new to the antioxidants free radical theory that we've been, talking about for so long.
Yeah, and with Mike around, we're all going to live 150 years old. Okay,
Right.
he's talking about the alternator in the car. He's talking about how to spin that thing and regenerate at a high level. And if you ever see Mike in Ormond Beach, he's got so many awesome, amazing ways that he can regenerate. And he actually spoke about the calcium, the calcium situation with EMF. And some scientists out of France reached out to me a long time ago. They had been working specifically with how to protect the cellular structure from EMFs. And they found out the most important thing was the calcium ions. And that's what Mike just said. And that's what they've been running at as the original EMF shielding kind of scientist. They actually chose us, anti-aging bed, because they were too involved with lab coat type of things. But these little cone pyramids, these actually give a shield. These actually give off a resonance. And essentially when there's a cloud of this resonance, it actually shields the cellular structure of our cells and that calcium bond to protect us from those EMFs. And Mike had in his book, he actually describes a lot of these ways to protect your home, your bedroom, and shield. So there's quite a few other methods to shield, along with even keeping on your keychain or your cell phone, different types of technologies of today that help give a cloud around you, basically much like a bubble of protection that can help mitigate the cellular damage that we get from our modern gadgets.
It's very interesting, this, because of the simple fact that the governments of every single country in the world are looking to reduce the population. And they will use 5G, 4G, EMFs. They'll use the food chain. They'll use cancer. They'll use AIDS. All these things have been created by them to reduce the population. And that really grates with me because I believe in God. God gave us life. And it's God's right to take our life away, not man's right, not government's right. And I mentioned it earlier, God has given us a toolbox. And most of us have got loads of tools and they haven't got a clue what to do with them. And this is why this is educational, because we can learn how to do practical things. We all know to put a seatbelt on in the car. We all know we got airbags in the car to protect us. And now what we're doing is educating us that we're living in a world full of EMFs, full of things that we know that are not, you can't see. You can't see, but you notice. As an example, I used to spend hours and hours and hours on the phone. and I used to get a buzzing in my head. Now I tend to talk to the phone in front of me, because if I hold my phone to my ear and I'm talking for 20 minutes, I can feel a buzzing and I can feel my head feeling strange. Now, that's not just my wife talking to me. That could be a business call. But it does, you can feel it. You know something's going on, but you don't know what. And this is where the education of being grounded and protecting yourself against EMFs. You can't really protect yourself against the wife shouting at you down the phone. That's a different issue altogether.
You can do things about it, though.
Exactly. Mind you, if she's feeling healthy and happy, she won't be shouting down the phone either. So, yeah, this is so important that we understand that there are so many things that we already have in our body that we can activate by using the connection to Mother Earth. And if it means that we all know that if you sleep out in a field, you feel so relaxed, you feel at peace because you're connected. Well, it's not practical to do that every night. So you can actually lay in your own bed, connected to Mother Earth, through one of these silver blankets or silver mattress covers, if you like, that you can lay on and be totally connected. And then there are many other things, of course, that John and I have talked about over the past year or so, discussing what we can do to protect ourselves, look after ourselves. And this is just purely educational, that we have not been taught, because it doesn't make money. This helps to cure people rather than keep you ill. But the governments need to keep people ill, and they need the population reduced massively, because they've spent all the pension fund and they don't know what to do. They've got no money. So the easiest thing to do is either make people work until they die, or kill them if they've got their mind made up that 65 I get my pension. We need to knock them on the head between 60 and 65, because they're what they call useless eaters.
Yep, that's right.
But we're getting a march on them.
The agenda has been in place for many decades, right? And
yeah,
it's getting scary. So
it is. All we're doing is educating people how you can make yourself feel healthier and actually be healthier and protect yourself. If you go back to the old days and you went to war, you'd take a sword and a shield. If you turned up to war without a sword or a shield, everyone would look at you like you were mental. Yeah. But nowadays we're going out to the outside world without any protection, because we don't know what's out there. Yeah. And this is what this is all about: educating ourselves to protect ourselves and look after ourselves.
No, and you make a real good point in that, like everything we buy, whether it's a computer, a phone, a piece of furniture, everything comes with what? A user manual. Yeah. But when we get born, we don't get a manual for this amazing creation that we were given. And so my first book, I just popped it up here. Yep. It's called what? User Manual. Yep. Health for Life User Manual, because we didn't get this manual for our human body. And so my first book, which was published in 2014, is actually called User Manual.
I like that.
Yeah.
Health for Life.
Yeah, User Manual.
Perfect. Well, we'll put all the links in for the books down below, because these are all education. And I said to my wife this morning, we went out for breakfast together, and I said to her, we were talking about Justin and talking about maybe moving him into homeschooling. And I said, I'll be setting my own curriculum, because half the stuff that they're being taught at school, they'll never ever use. We know that he wants to be a gymnast.
Not only use them, what they teach is all indoctrination from the government.
Of course it is. The history's all wrong. The geography's all wrong.
My daughters in high school had to write an essay on all the benefits of GMO.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no, that was their essay topic. And I said, no, you're going to write something, the harmful effects of GMO. And luckily they didn't antagonize them. They actually were proud that they did it. But what I'm saying is the agenda they're pushing, global warming is real. GMOs are going to save world hunger, all BS. And so, but that's what they're feeding our kids, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
And the Holocaust didn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff, I've done my own research, and that's what I do. And the one thing that we're not, that we don't under, that was never taught, even if you've understood the Holocaust, this was talking to Aaron Antis to start with. First of all, they didn't come for the Jews. They came for the disabled. And then they came for the old people.
Yeah.
And then they came for the Jews. And as Aaron said, a lot of people were saying, well, but when they first came for the disabled, well, I'm not disabled, so it doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
And then they came for the old people. I'm not old, it didn't affect me. Then they came for the Jews, and I thought, well, I'm not Jewish. Doesn't affect me. Then they came for me, and there was nobody left to defend me.
That's right.
And that's so true. And we forget that during the Holocaust, it wasn't just Jews. There was Christians. There was old people. There was disabled people. Yes, the bulk of them were Jewish. I get that. But there was also other people, old people, disabled people that were taken as well.
So when you say disabled and old people, Charlie, does that fit in with the Aryan race then? They wanted to have the perfect people.
That's right, exactly right.
Then Hitler should have shot himself first because he didn't fit that profile, did he?
Exactly, exactly. But this is all educational.
Yeah.
And what we're trying to do now is educate people on truth. And it's very interesting that when we get attacked by social media, such as YouTube, for fact checkers, if you go against the narrative, you get thrown off.
Yeah.
Even if you can publish the truth and provide all of the evidence,
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
No.
It's not the narrative, and the narrative is backed up by the governments, the mainstream media, big tech, and big pharmaceutical. They're all in bed together. And a lot of us, and I had to be re-educated when I was 23, when I came out of a religious cult, and I had been told stuff that was not true, and I had to learn the hard way. And so this has stood me in good stead for where we are now. Yeah. I actually know what it feels like to argue that black is white. I know that feeling because I did it as a youngster. Yeah. I was so brainwashed, so indoctrinated. So I do feel sorry for certain people, some people in the media who are putting the news out there. They believe it because they've been force-fed it and they live in a bubble. I spoke to a friend of mine who's very well known on television in the UK, and he was shocked when I told him, and he said, what, you believe that stuff? I said, it's not a question of I believe that stuff. I've done my own research. He said, but where do you get your research from? You should leave that to us. We're the specialists. I went, really? Really? Yeah.
Of course they believe that. And again, it's frustrating because many of them are truly intelligent people, and yet you cannot talk to them in a common sense way. They also refuse to go look to the resources that we have. And I think that is because they are afraid we put them out of their comfort zone. It would take them out of their comfort zone, and that's why they don't even want to look.
Yeah, that's true. I know that feeling. I know that feeling of being taken out because the people who misled me were my parents.
Yeah.
And that's very, very hard. And when you're outside of that comfort zone, I call it the fourth dimension, where you don't know your ass from your elbow. You don't know your head from your feet. You just don't know where you are. You don't know what's true. And that one thing I've learned on this journey, it starts here. It starts here. Reset your moral compass. Trust your intuition. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Don't make the same one twice, but allow yourself to make mistakes because that's how you learn. And then you don't have to trust anybody. You trust yourself. And I have to reset my moral compass on a daily basis because it gets knocked out of sync very quickly.
Very easily.
Yeah. And I'll give you an example. It got knocked out of sync last week by infighting between Linwood and General Flynn. I thought, you get dragged and you go, no. This is a psyop to test the good people from the bad people. And so many people jumped both feet into the pond, and it was like, really? It was a little bit too obvious, but these sort of things happen. And if you keep your moral compass accurate and if you believe in God, you can ask God to help you. It'll always help you. So will Allah, if you believe in Allah. Allah, by the way, is the Arabic version of God. It's translated, direct translation. And if you don't believe in any of that right now, Ask your mum or your grandma to keep your moral compass straight. They'll tell you. They'll slap it straight. I can assure you. They'll make sure you understand what's right and wrong, and that's what you need to do.
Very good.
Sure.
But no, I appreciate the work you guys are doing, because with John, he's been on a journey. He was forced into a corner, if you like. He didn't have a choice. He was like, shit, I've got to do something, otherwise I'm dead. And he landed up doing an amazing job. And of course, with you, Mike, you're sharing your expertise, which a couple of years ago you'd have been put down as a loony, because they go,
I still do sometimes, but it's okay. This is what we are here for.
Exactly.
We're messengers, and they can knock us down many times, but we believe what we do, and we're trying to save one person or mind at a time, and we'll keep going.
You know what? You nailed it there by saying save one person at a time. It's all, people say to me, but we need to save lots more people. I said, no, one person at a time, and every soul is valuable. And that it's almost like pyramid selling. Once you got that one, they will do one person, and so on.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. And it's wonderful. But no, thank you for that. I'll put the links to your books, Mike. It's Mike.
My website is MVT, as in Mike Van Thielen, mvtonline.com.
mvtonline.com.
And there's an author page with the 7 books. The same website is biohackingunlimited.com, but it comes to the same website.
Sure.
The new book, EMR, The Invisible Threat, is coming out on Valentine's Day, which is February the 14th, so people can remember it. Now, it's going to be, this is key, if you go to Amazon.com, but the US version, Amazon.us from Europe, you can get the ebook for free for 24 hours only on Valentine's Day. So people can download this book, 381 pages, for free on Valentine's Day. Now, if you're in the UK or in Europe, there's a time difference. So take note of the 5-6 hours time difference. But Valentine's Day, Amazon, the book is called EMR, Electromagnetic Radiation, The Invisible Threat by Dr. Mike Van Thielen. The ebook will be available for free 24 hours. The paperback will be there also. It won't be for free. Will be $14 or $16, don't know yet. But even if you like the paperback in your hands, buy it, but you may as well download the free ebook also. So that's going to be a very practical guide to mitigating EMF and understanding it from A to Z.
Perfect. Well, great to see you, Mike. Great to see you, John.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie. And again, thank you also for helping awakening the majority of people and at least giving them the information from our side so they can make informed decisions on what's true and not true. I appreciate your time and doing this on a regular basis to help the good cause, and may evil be defeated and good survive as always.
Exactly. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, guys.